In the U.S., the cost of retirement has surpassed $1.2 million, meaning even if you've saved your whole life, you could still run out of money just a few years after retiring. But there are 5 countries where smart Americans are moving to in 2026, living an entire month on just $1,000. No investment required, no complicated visa, just the courage to leave a country that's become too expensive to live in. In the next few minutes, you'll see places where $500 buys you a home, wine costs just $2, and the doctor remembers your name every time you visit. This isn't a travel video. This is a strategic escape plan for those who want to retire early, live free, and never fear another bill again. And the most surprising part? 3 out of these 5 countries still haven't been talked about on YouTube. Are you ready? Because if you wait just 1 more year, the rent in these paradises could double. Watch until the end, because the last country might just be the place where you begin your life again on $1,000 a month. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Mexico, where smart Americans find freedom again. After mortgage rates climbed to multi-year highs in 2023-2024 and only dropped slowly in 2025, the dream of owning a home in the U.S. drifted out of reach. In San Diego, $1,000 only rents a cramped room, but just a few hours' drive across the border, that same amount becomes a spacious apartment with a balcony overlooking the Pacific. The 20-on-25 interest rate crisis didn't just make American housing expensive. It made Americans start thinking differently. If I can't live comfortably in my own country, maybe freedom lies just across the border. They're not escaping. They're being reborn. Mexico is the first stop for smart Americans. Those who know freedom doesn't require a new passport, just a new perspective. In Mérida, the safest city in Mexico, mornings begin with the aroma of roasted coffee mixed with pine wood. An apartment outside the center costs only $350 to $550 per month, utilities around $80, and local markets about $200. The total cost of living comfortably is under $1,000, nearly 60% less than in the U.S. A full lunch at a local restaurant is only $3, and the waiter's smile is always free. Paul, 62, a former engineer from Ohio, once laughed bitterly when he saw his wife's medical bills exceed their pension. Last year, he sold his house, drove through Texas, and decided to try living in Mexico for a year. Now he lives in Mérida, learning Spanish, eating tacos for breakfast, and says, "For the first time in 30 years, I don't need an alarm clock to get up, but I still want to wake up early." What makes Mexico a strategic retirement move for 2026 is its remarkably flexible visa system. Americans can stay for 180 days without a visa. If they want long-term residency, all they need is proof of an income of at least $2,600 per month or savings of at least $43,000. Enough to qualify for a temporary resident visa, which can be converted to permanent residency after 4 years. No investment, no company, just proof that you can sustain yourself. The process is far simpler than in most European countries. And most importantly, the Mexican government truly wants you to come. Healthcare here is the secret weapon. Private hospitals in Guadalajara, Querétaro, or Mexico City meet international standards, and many doctors trained in the U.S. A heart surgery here costs 1/10 of what it does in Texas, and private insurance ranges from just $60 to $100 per month. It's no surprise that in 2024, Mexico surpassed Thailand to become the #1 medical tourism destination for Americans, according to the Medical Tourism Association. As for safety, yes, there are regions to avoid. but the country is larger than all of Europe combined. Expat areas like Ajijic, Lake Chapala, San Miguel de Allende, and Mérida have crime rates lower than Los Angeles. People walk their dogs at night, eat ice cream, listen to live music, and feel safe. Then there are the people. Here, neighbors know your name. Shopkeepers ask how you're really doing. Taxi drivers wish you buen dia with a genuine smile. Mexico reminds you that kindness is still normal. Its cuisine is a fusion of culture and memory. Crispy tacos al pastor, smoky mole negro, and aromatic Veracruz coffee. It's no coincidence that UNESCO declared Mexican cuisine an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Here, you don't just eat well, you live well. Mexico's economy is accelerating thanks to the nearshoring wave. Major U.S. companies like Tesla, Amazon, and Intel are moving factories closer to the border to cut costs. The result? Better infrastructure, modern services, stable internet. Yet the cost of living remains 40 to 60% lower than in the U.S. Property tax, or predial in Mexico, is collected locally and is usually much lower than in many parts of the U.S. Some cities even offer discounts for seniors. Of course, every paradise comes with a price. In coastal regions, summers are hot and humid, and insects treat you like an open buffet. Bureaucracy still follows the famous mañana rhythm, meaning we'll do it tomorrow. And if you live in tourist areas, you'll notice gentrification pushing rents up quickly. But that price is still cheaper than the exhaustion of living in the U.S. When night falls in Mérida, you hear the guitar mixing with the breeze, smell roasted corn on the square, and see yellow lights glowing on old walls. It's a slow life, imperfect, but real. And that's exactly what Americans are seeking. Freedom in sufficiency, not in excess. So what about you? As America grows more expensive and restless, would you trade $1,000 for peace of mind, a sunset, and a new beginning? Leave a comment. I choose Mexico. Because sometimes, freedom isn't where you were born. It's where you dare to begin again. 4. Ecuador, where climate reigns and people live sustainably. Ecuador uses the US dollar as its official currency and promotes ecotourism, factors that keep prices stable and make retirement budgeting easy. From a small equatorial nation, Ecuador has risen onto the global map as a new symbol of a green paradise, where people live slowly, the climate stays mild, and even time seems to smile. While much of the world faces heat waves and drought, Ecuador remains calm at a perfect 22 degrees Celsius year-round. No hurricanes, no snow, no extreme seasons. In Cuenca, a UNESCO heritage city, you can stroll along the Tomebamba River in the morning mist, hear the church bells echoing, and feel as if the outside world has stopped rushing. Locals like to joke, here you don't need a closet for clothes, just one for moods. For American retirees, Ecuador isn't just a place to live. It's a graceful escape from a life that's become too expensive and too fast. In 2025, as electricity prices in Texas hit record highs, Linda, a 64-year-old former teacher from Denver, sold her suburban home and flew to Cuenca just to try it for a year. 6 months later, she called her daughter and said, "I bought a condo overlooking the river. In the morning, I walk. At noon, I eat a $2 soup. And in the afternoon, I don't need my blood pressure pills anymore." Her voice was calm, but everyone listening knew. She had found the peace America had lost. The cost of living here is surprisingly low. Apartments outside the city center rent for $250 to $450 per month. Utilities and internet cost $80 to $90. Food about $150. and private health insurance runs 40 to 70. In total, $690 to $1,050 per month is enough, with money left to travel or learn Spanish. In Vilcabamba, the Valley of Longevity, locals tell stories of a 108-year-old man who still walks 2 kilometers every morning. And you believe it, because the air here truly makes the body forget its age. Ecuador also offers one of the easiest retirement visas in South America. Americans can stay 90 days visa-free, then apply for a pensioner visa with a stable income of at least $1,350 per month. No investment, no company required. After 21 months, you can apply for permanent residency. It's a peace of mind strategy for those seeking a legal, affordable, and long-term retirement. In terms of healthcare, Ecuador is a hidden gem. Private hospitals in Cuenca and Quito meet international standards, with many doctors trained in the U.S. A private consultation costs only $30, and full coverage insurance is usually under $100 per month. For 5 consecutive years, International Living has ranked Ecuador among the top 5 most reliable retirement healthcare systems in the world. And what Americans love most, Ecuador uses the US dollar. No currency exchange, no rate anxiety, no inflation shocks. Ecuador's economy is growing through ecotourism, cacao and coffee exports, and clean energy. The government promotes sustainable investment, internet coverage is wide, and utility costs remain low. Many retirees open small cafes, run homestays, or volunteer, earning a little extra while keeping their spirits young. And then, there's something money can't buy: Ecuador's nature. From the misty Andes peaks to the untouched Amazon rainforest, from the calm Manabí coast to the Galapagos Islands, where Darwin rewrote the story of evolution. In the morning you watch whales migrate. In the afternoon you sip hot chocolate in a small cafe and realize that here, every single day truly has value. The Ecuadorian people are gentle, open, and so kind that foreigners often feel disarmed. They greet you on the street, ask how you're doing, and genuinely mean it. They teach you that happiness doesn't need to rush. After a few months, everyone changes. They sleep better, eat better, and most importantly, worry less. The cuisine is simple yet soulful. Locro de papa potato soup, cheese empanadas, guaya seafood, and Arabica coffee grown on the slopes of extinct volcanoes. Every dish tells a story of earth, water, and sunlight. The biggest drawback of Ecuador is its transportation and terrain. Mountain roads twist endlessly, buses move slowly, and fog sometimes drops so low that you can only see 10 meters ahead. Bureaucracy still follows the mañana spirit, meaning, we'll deal with it tomorrow. For the impatient, it's a challenge, but for those weary of speed, it's medicine. Ecuador isn't a luxury paradise. It's a real one, where time stops running and people start living. You might come for the low cost, but you stay for the peace. So what about you? If there were a place with no hurricanes, no snow, no pressure, just cool skies, fragrant coffee, and smiles that greet you every morning, would you dare to call it home? Comment below. Everything you dream of. Tell me the places you want to go. And if you believe there's still a corner on this earth meant for your second life, hit like and subscribe, because the next journey might just be the one where you find yourself. 3. Albania. The new gateway to Europe opens. In February 2025, the world turned its eyes to Brussels as the European Commission officially approved Albania to enter negotiations for joining the European Union. A nation once forgotten after the Soviet era has now become the new focal point of the Mediterranean. And from that very moment, Albania was no longer a mysterious destination, but a golden opportunity for smart Americans seeking an affordable Europe to retire in. With a 450-kilometer coastline embracing both the Ionian and Adriatic seas, Albania carries a beauty that blends Greece and Italy, yet costs only one-third as much. In Saranda, a seaside town once used as a royal retreat, you can rent a sea view apartment for just $350–500 per month, enjoy a fresh seafood lunch for $5, and sip a glass of local wine for $2. The total monthly cost of living, including utilities, food, healthcare, and transportation, ranges from $800 to $1,400, an amount that in the U.S. barely covers electricity and car insurance. Tirana, the reborn capital, is where the past and present intertwine. Pastel-colored buildings stand beside Italian-era architecture and vibrant street art. Locals sip espresso every morning and stroll around Skanderbeg Square in the afternoon, a habit more than a luxury. To many Americans, Tirana is Lisbon 20 years ago, cultured, safe, friendly, and not yet overrun by tourism. Visa is Albania's biggest advantage. Americans can stay for 365 days without a visa, 12 times longer than in most other European countries. When it expires, you simply leave the country for a few days and come back. The government is preparing a special pensioner visa for retirees, expected to launch in 2026 as the EU accession process moves forward. Healthcare in Albania is developing rapidly, especially in Tirana, Durrës, and Shkodër. A private consultation costs only $25 to $40, and full health insurance runs about $60–90 per month. Major hospitals such as Hagia Tirana partner with Greece, offering EU standard services. Foreigners appreciate the personal care. Doctors remember your name and check on you after each visit, something the U.S. system lost long ago. The Albanian people are what make many Americans stay. They are warm, proud, and deeply hospitable. Here, neighbors invite you for a glass of raki and ask, "How's your family back in America?" Not as small talk, but as genuine care. Jim, a 68-year-old retired Chicago police officer, shared, "I planned to stay in Saranda for 3 months. Now it's been 2 years. The people here don't have much, but they give everything. And the sea feels like a sedative. Every morning I just open the door, and peace comes to me." Albanian cuisine reflects the true soul of the Mediterranean, simple, fresh, and authentic. Meals revolve around grilled fish in olive oil, tomato and feta salad, crispy byrek pies, and a glass of local red wine. Most ingredients come from family farms, non-GMO and never frozen. Locals believe that eating slowly makes you live longer, and they're right. Albania's economy is growing steadily at 3 to 4% per year, leading the Balkan region in attracting investment in tourism and technology. The internet is fast, the cost of living is low, income tax is only 10%, and expat communities are thriving in Saranda, Vlora, and Berat, where ancient white houses reflect on the Osum River. Of course, no place is perfect. Albania's biggest drawbacks are its transportation infrastructure and banking system. The coastal mountain roads are spectacular but dangerous. Buses rarely run on time, and some international transactions are still slow. Winters in the mountains can be cold and damp. Yet those who have watched the sunset paint the Ionian Sea red all say, "All the troubles fade away when the sun touches the water." Albania is not the luxurious Europe. It is the real Europe, where you can live a Mediterranean lifestyle without being rich. This is where church bells blend with ocean waves, where a morning coffee still costs $1, and where people still look each other in the eyes instead of through a screen. So how about you? As the door to Europe opens, will you dare to step through it? Comment below. I will choose Albania, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because the next journey will take you to another corner of Europe, where freedom still feels real. 2. Georgia, where freedom meets antiquity and everyone is welcome. If there's a place in the world that feels both strange and familiar to Americans, it's Georgia, the small land between Europe and Asia, where every morning begins with the scent of coffee, charcoal smoke, and laughter echoing through cobblestone streets. 2 years ago, Mark, 67, a retired photographer from Seattle, arrived in Tbilisi planning to stay for 3 months. He said, "I came here because it was cheap. I stayed because of the people." Now Mark lives in a small apartment on Minda Hill, where the balcony overlooks the shimmering lights of the Kura River. Every morning, he walks to the market, buys a warm khachapuri cheese bread and a $1 coffee, then sits under the trees reading. He says, "Here, I no longer feel the need to hurry, and that's worth more than any retirement savings." Georgia is one of the few destinations where you can live a European lifestyle for under $1,000 a month. An apartment outside the city center costs $380–550, utilities and internet $70–100, food $150–200, and health insurance $45–80. In total, about $850–200 a month buys you the space, culture, and quality of life that would cost 5 times more in the U.S. Visa is also a gift. Americans can stay for 365 days without a visa, then simply leave for 1 day and return. For longer stays, there's a retirement residence permit for those with a minimum monthly income of $2,500, or a 5-year nomad visa for online workers. No investment, no complicated paperwork, just the genuine desire to live here. Healthcare in Georgia is considered good for the region, especially in Tbilisi and Batumi. Private doctors are skilled, costs are low, and the service is attentive. A consultation costs only $30–40, and basic lab tests just a few dozen. International hospitals such as the Caucasus Medical Center and Evex Medical have English-speaking staff. For retirees, this is a place where you can receive quality health care without draining your savings. But Georgia isn't just about cost. It's about the feeling of freedom. Here, you can be anyone, from anywhere. No one asks about your politics or your money. They simply ask, "Have you eaten yet?" Locals believe guests are gifts from God. They invite you to dinner, pour you a glass of handmade wine, raise their glasses gently, and say, "Gamarjos," which means cheers to life. Georgia is considered the cradle of wine in the world, with over 8,000 years of winemaking history using clay Kvevri vessels, recognized by UNESCO. In the Kakheti valleys, you can see entire families harvesting grapes together, laughing and singing. Here, wine isn't just a drink, it's how they tell their story. Georgian cuisine is a tapestry woven between East and West. Cheesy khachapuri, spicy karcho soup, grilled muntsvadi skewers, and sweet church kala made from sun-dried grapes. Everything carries the warmth of the land and its people. They eat for joy, not just to be full. Georgia's economy is rising rapidly, growing at over 6% per year, with a personal income tax rate of just 20% and an exceptionally safe living environment. The internet is fast, utilities are inexpensive, and the expat community is expanding quickly, especially in the Vake and Vera districts of Tbilisi, where cafes, yoga studios, and co-working spaces line the streets as if the city were built for those who want to start over. Of course, no place is perfect. Rural infrastructure in Georgia remains underdeveloped. The mountain roads are winding, and English proficiency outside major cities is still limited. Yet Georgians always find a way to help, through a smile, a gesture, or simple, genuine kindness. Georgia doesn't sell dreams. It offers real life. Here, $1,000 doesn't just buy you a place to live, but freedom, kindness, and a sense of belonging. So how about you? As the world keeps rushing forward, would you dare to live in a place where time stands still, just to hear the echo of your own soul? Comment below. I will choose Georgia. And if you believe freedom still exists between Asia and Europe, hit like and subscribe, because the next journey might just be where you find your second life. 1. Philippines, where every day feels like Sunday. 30 years ago, Raymond, a former U.S. Navy veteran, was stationed at Subic Bay. He left after the war, thinking he would never return. But at 68, when life in California had become nothing but bills and loneliness, he decided to return to the place that once made him smile. "I didn't come here to relive the past," he said, "but to live the part of my life I once missed." Today, Raymond wakes up every morning in Cebu, opens his window to the sea breeze, hears children laughing, and smells coffee and grilled fish drifting through the porch. He says, "In America, I used to count every bill. Here I count every sunrise." The Philippines is a tropical paradise for Americans who love freedom and smiles. With over 7,600 islands, year-round warm weather, English-speaking locals, and a pace of life slower than anywhere you've ever known, it feels like time itself takes a vacation. In Dumaguete, Cebu, or Bohol, you can live comfortably for just $700 to $1,000 a month. Rent $280, $380, utilities $80, $100, food $200, and health insurance $50, $70. Everything here is easygoing, sunny, and kind. Visa policy is one of the Philippines' strongest advantages in Asia. Americans get an initial 30-day visa-free stay, extendable up to 36 months. Or they can choose the SRRV, Special Resident Retirees Visa, allowing long-term residents with just $800, $1,000 monthly income or a $20,000 deposit. You can buy property, open a bank account, and live like a true local. Healthcare in the Philippines is developing rapidly, especially in major cities. Hospitals like St. Luke's in Manila and Chonghua in Cebu meet international standards, with many doctors trained in the U.S. A private consultation costs only $30, $50, and private insurance runs about $60, $90 per month. For retirees, this is a place where both health and finances are protected. The Filipino people are what turn visitors into residents. They are warm, quick to smile, and always willing to help. They have a saying, "We may not have much, but we share what we have." Here, neighbors will invite you for dinner, teach you to sing karaoke, and call you family after just a few weeks. Of course, even paradise has its challenges. The Philippines faces typhoons, power outages on small islands, and imperfect infrastructure. But people here don't complain. They simply turn on a flashlight, smile, and keep singing. In America, you live to work. In the Philippines, you work to live, or simply to smile. If you too want a place where $1,000 buys peace, blue seas, and kindness, comment below. I will choose the Philippines. 5 countries, 5 ways of living. But only one true choice: freedom. In America, $1,000 only buys a few bills. But out there, it buys a home, a warm meal, and a reason to smile every morning. Don't wait until retirement becomes a worry. Let today be the day you start finding where you truly belong. Comment below, "I'm ready to start over." And if you believe happiness isn't about the price tag, but about where you wake up each morning. Hit like and subscribe. Because the next journey might just be the map that leads you to freedom.